the modern day, dharma is often erroneously translated as religion. Dharma never means religion. The Sanskrit word for religion is panth. Dharma is one of those words which very few understand. We never get to know of this very fundamental concept. And to understand Bharat, one needs to understand dharma. Indeed, to understand life, one needs to understand dharma. Dharma is never a prescriptive religion. In ancient times in Bharat, the upper part of the body was not covered at all. It was not considered to be obscene or vulgar at all. This was the way people were dressed. Therefore, on ancient temple walls, when you see the images of the gods and goddesses, you will see the women do not cover the upper part of their body. But over time, the upper part of the body started being covered. So you have Ekavastra, Dvivastra, Trivastra, Lajjavastra. Different kinds of things emerging. Finally, sari emerging. Combination of lower and upper garment and gradually ghungat emerging. Ghungat is most seen in the northern part of Bharat than the southern part of Bharat. Our culture is so open-minded, initially we keep on thinking that our culture is conservative, but we are wrong. This orthodoxity, mainly of ghungat, parda, have come from Islamic invasion and by Britishers. Perhaps, women are one of the most misconceived and misquoted figures in the annals of the past. Chronicled studies and the scriptures denote that Vedic women relished a comparatively high status during the early Vedic period. The Vedic women in Bharat relished high status in society. Women were provided the opportunity to procure high perspicacious and spiritual standards. The condition of women was better, no doubt. Society is developed in the 21st century, so as the position and reverence of women are deteriorating is insufficient to attain a respectable position in society. While as we grow up with certain beliefs such as women can't equal men, they are good for domestic roles only, and child rearing. They are physically and emotionally weak. The Vedas highlight the most ancient texts about the nature and role of the woman, and we can understand that the current society we live in is deteriorated in thought and understanding of the real position of a woman. Vedas is knowledge written in past. The texts reveal a different image of women as they are very significant and revered stature. The struggle is not for the status of women but human worth. The claim isn't to finish the inequality of females but to revive the universal justice. Vedas have been historically divided into 4 parts that are Rig, Yajur, Atharva and Samaveda. In Manusmriti, the most controversial and misunderstood book, it says that women should be nurtured with very tenderness and attention by their fathers, their brothers, their husbands and their brother-in-law if they desire great prosperity. Yatra naristu pujyante ramante tatra devataha yatra etastu na pujyante sarvas tatra aphalakriyaha. Wherever women are given their due admiration, even the deities desire to reside, and where they are not admired, all efforts remain fruitless. Vedic women were always literate. They were the primary custodians of essential knowledge. The Rig Veda also mentions of women involved in warfare. The Bharhut sculpture represents skillful horsewomen in the army. Kautilya mentions women archers. The female configuration of the absolute and the admired goddesses are believed to have taken shape in the Vedic era. In Vedic literature, all energy is called Shakti, and it is feminine in nature. In Vedic times, many of the Vedic rishis were women. Wedded and unmarried women alike were recognized authorities on Vedic wisdom. The Rig Veda highlights many ladies rishis. Indeed, it contains dozens of verses accredited to the lady philosopher Kosha. It is not that the notion of single woman was unknown. The narrative of the debate between Sulabha and King Janak, found in this section in Shanti Parva of the epic Mahabharata, is an exception. Sulabha does not belong to the Brahmin or the scholarly community. Sulabha has voluntarily taken the path to realize the ultimate spiritual truth. She is an exception because she holds that celibacy and learning are means for attaining salvation for women as much as they are for men. Sulabha responds to Janak's arrogance in a polite and dignified way. Her replies are logical and her arguments are based on the principles enunciated in the Vedas and Upanishads. Swayamvar was a practice in which a girl had the freedom to choose her partner as per her wish. Swayam means oneself and Var means bridegroom. So we get an idea that royal girls were allowed to choose their husbands, not that they were pushed to marry somebody. Rather, the men were supposed to be very qualified and had to prove their qualifications. However, the situation of women in later Vedic period was miserable when compared to Rig Vedic time, as the status of women started deteriorating. They were considered inferiors, subordinate to men, and a daughter was from then considered as a source of misery. With the growth of intra-religion variegation and growth of crooked reverence, the decline of the state of women was set into motion. People narrowed their thoughts and women were confined. Certain rules and restrictions were imposed on women, such as they weren't allowed to study, always treated as second citizens, possibly pushed on the funeral pyre of husband, which was an inhuman act, confined to just the walls of the house. The position of women in present Bharat is a type of paradox. If on one hand she is at the tip of the ladder of triumph, on the other hand, she is mutely tolerating the cruelty distressed on her by her own family members.